Okay, I am recording now. We are back in session with 6 weeks to success. This is week 3, but it's lesson 2. So I know that's off, but it's week 3, lesson 2. There will be 6 weeks. So you've got 3 more weeks to go after this. But this is lesson 2, so there will be 4 more lessons. I'm sorry, 3 more lessons. We'll conclude with a wrap up at the end. That's why I say that. So let me enlarge this. Hopefully I am sharing my screen, so I hope everyone can see the screen and can follow along with me. We're going to do this, stay with this PowerPoint if I can get the presentation to actually begin. There we go. Okay, and as always, I'm going to minimize my navigation screen, my admin screen here to the left, so I won't see your questions as you type them in, but please don't let that stop you from doing so. I will check the nav panel for questions periodically as I go through the presentation, so I will get to your questions. So even though I'm not looking at it, I'll pop it open periodically just to kind of see where I'm at with questions from attendees. So let's start. 6 weeks to success is hopefully you've joined us for the first two, the orientation and lesson 1. If not, they are archived and have been recorded, so you can watch them. You need to request the link to be able to do that. I strongly recommend that as I advocate that anyone can join this session at any time, I advocate and recommend that you watch any sessions that you've missed. So we're talking about growing your database and therefore growing your business. Can't stress it enough that the two are directly connected. So understanding the connection is where I think most people lack in making the connection. You've got to understand the reason for it, and basically your database is your business. We're in sales, so when you talk about what is my sales business worth, the value of your business is directly related and connected to the size of your database. So and that's not to say that you're looking to sell your database, but as you try to quantify the value or the revenue potential of your business, then you should understand that you need to do so in connection directly with the size of your database, your prospect list. There's an undeniable correlation or connection there, and you cannot ignore that. So as I said, in sales, your ability to increase your revenue, if you're running a sales business, you want to look at the ability or the potential or prospect of increasing your revenue. Of course, we want to grow. And in looking at your business from that perspective, understand that your ability to increase your revenue in your sales business is a direct result of your efforts to increase your database. This must be an activity that you engage in as a priority in your business of sales. So understand that when we talk about sales and the business of sales, most people most commonly attribute to closings, closed transactions, closed sides, closed business, however you want to phrase it, whatever you want to call it. Most people make that association immediately, but what they fail to understand is that the actual and more direct association regarding your pipeline as a sales professional or sales business is going to be the front end. Understanding that a healthy sales pipeline has two ends, the front end and the back end or the tail end. The pace and the frequency of the front end or the prospects. So the front end, I should preface by saying the front end is where prospects go in. So business in, prospects in, closed transactions out. So as you're putting and jamming prospects and prospective business into the front end of your pipeline, the hope is that with some sort of matching or similar frequency or pace, then closed business will fall out of the tail end of your pipeline. And that's how it most commonly works. So the pace and the frequency of the prospects, your jamming or stuffing of prospects in the front end of the pipeline is directly related to the consistency of closed transactions falling out or coming out of the tail end of the pipeline. If you put nothing in the front end, nothing comes out of the back end. So your efforts to, as I refer to it, stuffing the front end versus those for closing. So as I said, the most common misinterpretation is that the back end or tail end of the pipeline is the one that must be most closely monitored, is most closely and directly impactful upon your business, and is most closely and directly related to scoring or sizing up or quantifying your business. In reality, it's your efforts to have prospects entering the front end of the pipeline is much more vital to your business. So front end efforts, far more critical, but balance is required. You can't just concentrate all of your efforts in sales on prospecting and loading the front end of your pipeline. There must be attention to the detail, as I call it, attention to detail paid to the back end and closings. Because there must be that balance. So the back end or closings come out of your pipeline. The skill set required there is the expertise or skill set of your business. So if you're a real estate salesperson, that's going to be dependent upon, or the pace or the ability for transactions or prospects to go and come out on the other end is going to be based largely on your understanding of your business, your ability to understand contracts, disclosures, the paperwork of the business, even the customer service aspect to some degree, but it's more the technical issues or matters of your business. If it's solar, for example, then it's going to be understanding the processes that actually end up in a closed transaction, understanding some of maybe the technical aspects of the paperwork involved with the power purchase agreement, the PPA, or even the handoff to your CFT. However you want to look at it, it's more the technical end. So that's the front end and the tail end. What happens in the middle is CRM. So in other words, prospects going into the front end of the pipeline are not necessarily at a close point, even if they enter the pipeline as an open escrow and not just a prospect that you're going to communicate with and try and develop mind share with over a period of time. Even if it's not that, still the processes, the conversion processes that have it go from a prospect to a client to close business, this happens inside the pipeline. So your CRM is conducted inside your pipeline to your prospects and your database contacts within the pipeline. That is how they go in the front end in whatever various or numerous states of readiness, for example, and they come out of the pipeline hopefully as closed business. So it's that balance and balancing those efforts, but by far the most and more critical is going to be your front-end prospecting efforts in sales. Understanding the seasonality of your industry must be factored as well. And this affects that balance. So understanding that, I'll use real estate for an example, understanding that real estate has an annual cyclical nature. It's cyclical. There's a cycle. And historically, this is not something that's recent, certainly not something that I'm saying as an observation that I've made personally. It's actually, and I have, but it's actually a well-known fact that November, December, January, February are typically and historically the slow times for real estate mortgage. It's just how it is, blame it on Christmas, Black Friday, end of the year, what have you. I don't know. I think it's actually not scientific. It's just consistent. So understand that connection must be factored in. Understand that November, December, January, February are the slow times of the month. So how that correlates to balance in your pipeline is that understanding how that correlates to balance in your pipeline is that you must prospect more heavily going into that cyclical downtime so that your pipeline has closed transactions to fall out to sustain your business through the slow time. So you have to understand that balance is required, but front-end prospecting is not something you ever diminish, really. It's something that you can beef up or add to, but it must always be done. I'm just saying simply factor in the seasonality of your industry, whatever that industry is. Typically, there is a cyclical nature to all sales. Your SOI. So front-end efforts, let's take a look at what that looks like. Prospecting for dollars. Lots of different ways to do that. I'm actually going to cover that over a couple of slides. So your SOI is the most important. I always start there. Your sphere of influence is what that stands for, SOI, your sphere of influence. So the important thing to understand is that typically there's been a mistake made in sales, and it's that your SOI covers your friends and family. And I think I've actually even had agents who have coached and mentored tell me that they've heard that from other trainings and seminars, and that's very unfortunate because that's only one component, a small percentage or a moderate percentage of your SOI in total. Your SOI, as I've said before in the orientation, and I believe even last week in lesson 1, is encompassing of everyone that you meet or that comes across crosses your life path with consistency. Doesn't have to be any particular frequency, doesn't have to be anything of significance, but just has to be consistent. So this can be, and hopefully in preparing for this lesson, as I said, you were supposed to check into the memory jogger for the SOI to kind of shake that tree and see all of the perspective and actual prospects or SOI members or members of your SOI contacts within your SOI that fall out. So that can be a delivery person to your office if you have part-time or full-time employment. It can be the water cooler person the water delivery person, or someone that you meet at lunch frequently, or someone that's on another parent that's involved with your student or your child's soccer or anything. I don't have the memory and jogger in front of me, but it can be literally anyone, a bank teller, a grocery clerk, grocery store clerk. Not to say that you get that same clerk or that same teller every time you walk into the bank or the grocery store, but just that there's some regularity there, there's some consistency, and most importantly, there's at least some facial or face-to-face recognition, so that you might not know this person's name, other than they have their name badge on. They might not know your name, but just to say that they know you to see you, so they recognize you, so you're going to see them again. Everyone in your SOI, the most important point I want to make here in lesson 2 is that everyone in your SOI has got to know what you do. If they do not, then you're dropping the ball. That's a personal failure as a salesperson. If every member of your SOI does not explicitly know what you do and who you do it for. So if you're an insurance salesperson for ERS Life, then everyone in your SOI should know that. If you are a real estate agent with ERS here in Elk Grove, then everyone in your SOI, everyone should be aware of that fact. Not only aware of that fact, but they should be aware of where we are, where your office is, where you work from, where your area of expertise is, what your area of expertise is within real estate, first-time buyers or whatever, because this, even if that doesn't apply to them, your SOI are your warm contacts, your WCL, your warm contact list. These people, or these are the people who are most likely to refer you warmly to people that they know. So how are they going to refer you if they don't really know that you know what you do? You may be a real estate agent, but they may send a referral your way, but unbeknownst to them, you're a commercial real estate agent, and they've sent you a first-time home buyer. Great, thanks for the referral, but you can be much more specific if your SOI knows exactly what you're doing and who you're doing it for, what your specialty is, and the like. Farming, I talk a lot about farming, but I divide that in two. So Animation's off here, so you got a little peek ahead at demographic farming, but I want to start with a geographic farm area. So having an area of expertise, it can be a neighborhood, a community, a subdivision, whatever it's going to be, you should pick that. It should be no more than 200 to 350 homes. If your area of expertise is going to be a neighborhood, say south of Laguna, and you want to specialize in first-time home buyers, then maybe you should consider that 200 to 350 homes, that be made up of non-owner occupied, people who are currently renting their home. Maybe in a smaller, lesser home value neighborhood, that would be a good target. So the point is to target who you want based on your area of expertise, and understanding the prospecting value of that is that you want to keep it to 200 to 350 homes because you want to keep it manageable. You've got to touch these people, this farm area, the residents or inhabitants of your farm. 2 touches per month is what I and most people who teach CRM do advocate. And then what I put on there on top of that is I say alternate, please, between an item or touch of value and competence. Go back and forth. So if you're going to do 2 touches per month, just alternate between an item of value and an item of competence. Understanding that that is not an item of value like, it doesn't have to be a gas card or a gift certificate or a gift card. Something of value to them based on where they live or what their circumstance or situation is, particularly information in this regard. Competence is going to be something similar but more detailed and maybe more with greater specificity to their circumstance in that neighborhood, because you want to demonstrate to them that you have competence, that you are competent at what you do, that you would bring value to them in that regard because you're a competent expert in your field. Farm files, and we're talking about building your database. Remember, this lesson is about growing your database and therefore growing your business. So when you start a farm, you're going to get the mailing address information and the occupants' names from your title representative or customer service department at title, whoever is able to furnish you that information. But what you will not have is, for example, their email address. They cannot provide an email address. Typically not going to have a phone number. Not going to have any information about the makeup of the family, how many kids, how many adults. You can assume that it's if it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, or 4-3 or 3-2, that it's most typically a family, but you don't know the individual or actual makeup of that family, which for specificity down the road in terms of marketing, once again, being very specific and targeting your marketing, this is very critical. It's very important that you have more and more and more information in a growing farm file. So in short, your farm file is the file for each of the inhabitants within your farm. So as you talk about growing your database, you're going to do that by leaps and bounds by increasing the number of full, complete farm files you have for the inhabitants of your farm. So you're going to start out with these 200 to 350 homes. I really recommend maybe 300 as a farm, understanding that, again, you're touching them with mail out and marketing pieces at least twice per month. So understand you're going to manage it, keep it manageable, and keep the cost manageable as well. This is a long-term effort, but I'll get to that. So going back to the farm file, as you're able to grow and flesh out the file, the contact file for each inhabitant of the farm, that's going to pay dividends in the long run. Additionally, strategic partnerships, co-branded marketing. So I always advocate that as you approach or attack a farm or a subdivision in any particular area, that you take a close look at the businesses surrounding the periphery of that farm, so that understand that as these members or inhabitants of this farm area are your clients, they are too as well the hopeful or prospective clients of all the business owners in that periphery, all the business owners surrounding that farm, whether it's the pizza place, the dry cleaners, restaurants, stores, convenience stores, liquor stores, grocery stores, what have you, whatever they may be, they're all targeting the same residents within your farm. So if you're already marketing to them and you can establish to business owners that, look, this is what I do, this is my area of expertise, I am marketing and touching these residents twice per month. I'd be glad to do so. It only makes sense to do so in partnership with some of the local businesses here. Maybe you do a newsletter. And you can offer them the ability to have presence in your newsletter. Maybe you do a postcard mail out and you offer them the ability to do a two-sided flyer or something of that nature, or a logo presence on the postcard. Flyers and newsletters are great because you can always include a coupon. For retail business or a restaurant, come in, bring this coupon, or mention, ERS or Robert Smith, Elite Realty Services, and get, 10% off this, that, or whatever. So the ability to co-brand your marketing pieces and approach the farm and attack your farm in partnership strategically with the businesses that surround that farm is just good business sense. And the fact is, it can mitigate your cost as much as 50% or higher with multiple business owners, because you're asking them to contribute to the overall marketing cost. It can be your printing cost, distribution cost, whatever it may be. You can mitigate your cost and save on your budget by entering these types of strategic partnerships. Understanding that farming, we're talking about prospecting and growing your business, but farming is more of a branding scenario. It's a branding strategy. So understand that there's a difference between branding, marketing, and advertising. They are not the same. Marketing and advertising are more closely related, but they're still different nonetheless. And then branding is entirely different from both. And I really like to put it in terms of time frame. Advertising is typically with an immediate call to action. I advertise, I say this, so therefore pick up your phone and call us now, or come down and get the savings now, bring the coupon in now. So that's more the advertising. It's more the immediate, the short term. The midterm is the marketing. So you're looking to get a marketing message out, establish market share or mind share in the minds of the consumer or your consumer pool with marketing, repetitive marketing. So it's going to be, as they teach you in Marketing 101, the 8 touches. Takes, as they say, the human brain psychologically to have something resonate within it, 8 touches. That's why you have jingles on radio commercials where they're repeating the phone number, and why you actually can maybe hum or even know the words to a jingle as you've heard it now 8 times. So it's not just the empirical hearing it 8 times or seeing it 8 times. It has to resonate. So you could be distracted or not hearing it, or just because it's on in the background, that doesn't count. So that's why marketing is a preponderance of the message, consistently and frequently. So that's midterm. Branding is a long-term effort. You can go to any village anywhere on planet Earth, and as I said last week, I think I used the illustration of drawing a Nike symbol, the swoosh, and pointing to your foot. Even if you can't speak the language, the majority of the people in that village are going to say, oh, Nike. They're going to know exactly what you're talking about. They might even be wearing Nikes of some kind. So, or working the plant. So let me stop with that. But understand that branding is a long-term effort. It's the result of a long-term sustained strategy. Understand that Nike achieved that type of global recognition because they put tens of decades, hundreds of millions of dollars, literally, over that time period, and probably more, in achieving that type of recognition. In a geographic farm, you're doing the same principle. It's the same branding model, but you can absolutely expect to achieve a similar result in a localized area in a fraction of the time, and of course for a minute fraction of the budget. So it is branding in a smaller localized area, but it is branding. So you're not going to farm today, send out marketing pieces and walk the farm maybe in the next 2 weeks, leave marketing pieces behind and expect your phone to start ringing off the hook. It's just not going to happen. I've seen many of agents get frustrated with the process after 2 months, 3 distributions. And my reactions, are you kidding me? So, you really have to understand that this is a long-term effort. Demographic farm is something that not a lot of people are familiar with or understand that there is even a concept. I didn't invent it, but I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it, but it's one of my favorite things as a strategy to impart on agents who will sit and listen to me for a few minutes. So understanding that your demographic farm is not like a geographic farm at all. A geographic farm is constrained by geographic boundaries. It can be the area of a neighborhood or a subdivision or a radius around a single point or single home. A demographic farm knows no such boundaries unless you impart those boundaries on it. So your demographic farm is marketing to professionals who I like to call them client aggregators. It can be a probate attorney. So you can market, if you want to have probate be one of your specialties, you can market in that regard and reach out and try to market people who are in that particular state or situation. Or you can talk to a probate attorney who actually has maybe 50 to 100 clients in that regard. Divorce attorneys, foreclosure specialists, tax attorneys and CPAs. These people have clients aggregated for you. So if you market to 50 to 200, say, professionals of this nature in a targeted demographic farm, and your relationship that you're building with them has them then in turn marketing you or advocating you or referring you to their clients, then what is the benefit of that? You've reached now marketing 1 to 200, marketing to 1 to 200 professionals of this nature. You've now reached potentially 3,000 prospective clients through those 1 to 200 individuals. So definitely worth doing, but understand you're not walking that farm. I do recommend that you look to set and have regular appointments with the professionals in your demographic farm, or at least those ones that are local to you. Other than that, your demographic farm is going to be messaged to or contacted by you by way of direct messaging, CRM drip campaigns out of your CRM software, US mail, or even, as we'll get into a little later in the 6 Weeks to Success course, the 2-minute phone call. So all of the front end efforts, it's about feeding the whole. One of my favorites phrases as I teach CRM is feed the whole. The whole, obviously, folks, is your database. So adding new contacts to your database is feeding the whole. So understanding that it is your primary function, your top priority as a sales professional is to feed the whole, to add new contacts to your database. This is something you must do with frequency, regularity, consistency, and without fail. This is, again, lesson 2, growing your database and therefore growing your business. If you fail to add new contacts to your database, if you fail in the effort or fail to make the effort to grow your database, your business will stagnate. It will not grow. I say that repeatedly. You've had to have heard me say it before if you've been anywhere in a room with me on this subject. So you just have to have that resonate and understand that I'm not making it up. This must be a daily activity. It must be something you engage in every day. As I said, your primary function in your sales business, whether it's real estate, mortgage, insurance, vacuum cleaners, encyclopedias, if anyone still sells those anymore, whatever it might be, your primary function is to get up, get out in the world and meet people and collect the information, bring it back, data entry, and feed the whole. So mastering the art of collecting personal contact information. And it is an art. A lot of people are uncomfortable doing it. They're intimidated by the prospect of talking to a complete stranger and leaving that situation in less than 3 minutes with viable, vital contact information to come back and bring back to their to their database. You can't let yourself be intimidated by that. If you are, then it is something, if you're in sales, you're going to have to overcome that. We all got to put our big boy and girl pants on and understand that there's certain things that may have hindered us in prior occupations or didn't really apply in prior occupations, but you're in sales now and understand that there's certain things you've just got to overcome. You see the business card illustration there to the right. That's our very own Mr. Mark Becker, a reverse mortgage specialist here with the ERS Elk Grove. I just used his card because I just think it's a good looking card, but I needed an illustration of a business card. And that's a segue to buying leads for 5 cents each. On average, you say you get 1,000 business cards for $50, $60. That's about 5 cents each. So as you're walking around with your business cards in your wallet, your pocket, business card holder, whatever you have that in, this is one of the most vital tools of mastering the art of collecting personal contact info because it's give and get. As you give, it's reasonable to assume or presume a certain getting, and that's what the business card in exchange for information methodology or strategy is all about. But understand your business card comes down to about 5 cents. Each business card is, and you can get more expensive business cards. Don't hold me to a number, please, but understand I'm just making a point using probably a pretty fair average of about 5 cents per business card. So every time you're out in the marketplace or out in the world conducting that daily activity, your primary function of meeting and greeting, you're handing someone a business card, you're handing them 5%. What is the reasonable return to expect for that 5 cent exchange? Understanding that if you get the information, the contact information, and we're not talking about someone's life story, we're talking about a phone number and a name, or an email address and a name, an area of town they live in, perhaps where they're going with that, or how you can potentially give them excellent service in the future as a buyer, as a seller, whatever it might be. So understanding that there's a 5 cent exchange, and if you do it right, you win every time, because what you get back in exchange for that business card is worth far more than 5 cents. So just please understand that. Just keep that in mind. One of those fun facts, I guess. The 30-second elevator pitch. So how do you feed the whole every day? You get out there in the world and you're conducting this activity. You've got to get very good at delivering what in sales they call your 30-second elevator pitch. I don't know the origin of it. It just makes a lot of sense, but you can understand what they're going for, what the point is. As you talk about, maybe you step into an elevator, there's someone there, or you're in the elevator and someone steps in, or you step in together. You've got on average about 30 seconds typically to maybe engage that person in a brief but meaningful conversation, to deliver your elevator pitch. Your elevator pitch in 30 seconds is your name, your occupation, your company, and maybe the balance of time you have left after that is delivering your value proposition. You're not the only realtor or insurance agent or mortgage professional or commercial finance person or solar salesperson in the world, probably not even the only one they've met maybe even that week. So why should they use you? And this is what your value proposition is. So your ability to deliver your name, your occupation, and your company, and the value that you specifically bring or could bring to them in that making that choice. The ability to deliver that in 30 seconds or less is known as your elevator pitch, and you've got to get damn good at making that pitch and delivering that. And to do so, you've got to understand what your value proposition is. Hey, why should they choose me? And you've got to put that eloquently and efficiently consolidated in a short burst, and be able to repeat that on command with no problem. On demand, you've got to have that at the ready and ready to deliver, whether you're standing in line at a bank, at a grocery store, DMV, whatever. If you're standing in line, you've got to be able to be the expert in delivering that 30-second elevator pitch. Now, of course, you're going to have more time than that sometimes, but just be prepared that 30 seconds is all you have. That's the best practice in getting good. So understand also that not everyone you meet as you deliver that elevator pitch is ready today. Not ready for your services, not ready for your product, whatever it might be. You've got to be mindful that this is about a state of readiness. You're going to meet people as you're conducting this daily activity to add people to your database, to feed the whole. You're going to meet and come across people who are not ready today. Those people should still absolutely be databased. And we'll cover that in later sessions as we talk about categorization, subcategorization, and segregation within your database, within your contacts, and understanding that there's a place for everybody in your database, regardless of their state of readiness or their time to readiness. So as I say, collect the info regardless and database accordingly. Advertising, leads captured must be entered. So we're talking about branding, marketing, and advertising. We're spending time on the farming, talking about the branding effort, talking about the marketing aspect of that as well, and understanding that advertising is a part of that, having a call to action. But you ask for action. If people take that action, you've got to be prepared to respond in kind, in a timely manner. So in other words, if your advertising is successful, don't defeat that by not responding. So if you capture a lead, you must be ready to respond to that lead, enter that lead into your CRM system, hopefully begin a drip campaign on them and a call campaign immediately. So prospecting for dollars does nowadays, of course, extend to social media. You must include social media in your prospecting efforts, but you've got to do so effectively. I see a lot of people spinning their wheels, spending lots and lots of time on social media, not really knowing what they should be doing, shouldn't be doing, what's effective, what's not effective. Should they pay per click? Should they pay for advertising, pay for placement? What are the do's and don'ts? There really aren't a list of do's and don'ts. It's just simply you do what's effective, you don't do what's not. You don't waste your money on things that are not going to return a result. Basically, you want to follow a few simple rules. And capturing people with relevance is probably the #1 rule. People online are looking, they're skimming. They're skimming the surface for relevance, something relevant to them. So as they're skimming, they're passing by things that are not relevant to them, kind of like clothes shopping. There's a lot of clothes on the rack, and you're looking for the little SM or L, or in my case, double XL on the hanger. So you're just pushing the hangers. You're going through one, boom, 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 until you hit that, then you'll stop. So that's about skimming for relevance, and that's what people do in social media. Even if it's video, if it's illustrated pictures, pretty pink things, whatever it might be, people are not really stopped by that these days. People have become so accustomed to the act of skimming quickly and finding relevant content as they're trying to skim their Facebook page from their phone as they're waiting for the light to turn green. So people really have gotten it down to a science, and you've got to be relevant to capture them. Provide useful content, something that's shareable. In social media, it's still relevant to have a call to action, but a lot of times you can use, if it's even a word, shareability as your call to action. So if you provide some useful content and someone deems that shareable or share-worthy, then you've gotten them to take an action as a result of your post, as a result of your advertising. So absolutely, that's a success that can be counted. Always include a call to action, a link to your outside site. So if you're doing this, you might as well be doing this for a purpose. So as I said, having a call to action in social media, the definition of a call to action has been expanded by social media, because it can be simply getting a browser or a reader to share your post or to share your content. It can be to get them to pick up the phone and call, which is the more traditional call to action, or to come to your location. As I said again, that's the more traditional traditional action in a call to action, but it can be now things like linking, getting them to click a link to an outside video, an outside website, a landing page, or directly to a capture tool which will deposit them and their information, or at least lead them to your CRM tool. So very important to have a call to action as you're going to try to be effective in social media. Confirm receipt of inquiries and respond with haste. People on social media who respond or not respond, it's just what we've been conditioned to do in social media. We think that we're in a virtual world, therefore there are no real people. We kind of get, especially when it's personal, that's different. But when we're talking about business and advertising and marketing, it's important for you as the marketer, as the advertiser, to understand that most people's perception of advertisement, marketing, and promotional efforts within the virtual world are just that, virtual. So that they're not expecting, and they've been conditioned to not even expect a response. So you need to be the antithesis of that. You need to actually respond. If you put something out there and somebody responds, and I'm not, again, talking about personal, I'm talking about business, then you need to be on that. You need to, if it's Facebook, for example, I'll use that again, it's the most common one. Try and get that person's information. Go to their page. See if you can find an outside of Facebook email address or a phone number or something. And if not, then message them directly, so it's not just replying to a post. Message them directly and say, hey, can we chat offline? I saw, whatever it can be. Just use the initial response from them to your piece or post as a conversation starter, and you're looking to take them up on that and get the conversation offline is basically what your goal becomes. But you've got to do that right away. It's got to be timely. It can't be something that you simply approach casually. Using social media to highlight you, to demonstrate your value proposition. Again, that 30-second pitch nowadays, as we've gone into this virtual world of marketing and advertising as sales professionals, you still need to convey, albeit through non-traditional means, you still cannot get away from the traditional need to convey your value proposition and your 30-second elevator pitch. You still must effort the same result. It's just different how it's laid out. Basically, understand this last rule, that success is achieved in social media with a preponderance of you. It's just the relentless visibility of you. I can't really put it any other way. It's a saturation. So social media rewards the truly persistent, and it does. I can tell you because I've been truly persistent for many years in my social media marketing, and it is paying off. It has and continues to pay off. So the last rule for social media marketing and success and prospecting for dollars online is going to be to make sure that you have everything tied together. If you're going to be doing LinkedIn, Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Google+, and all of them, you're going to be wasting your time if you've got to do each thing individually and separately. So in other words, if I develop a post for the day, something of value, real estate related or commercial finance related, and I'm going to put it on LinkedIn, I'm going to put it on my blog, I'm going to put it in activerain.com in my community there, I'm going to hit Facebook and my business page and the groups that I belong to, and I'm going to put it on Google Plus and do a post there. You're doing these things, and that's great. The effort is to be applauded, but again, this is about efficiency and effectiveness and the ability to be able to consolidate and do a single post and maybe have that hit all of those accounts. That's something that's well worth your time as a time saver to investigate, probe, and find out. Many of the sites nowadays offer that type of tie-in. So Facebook, when I post something on my Facebook page, it automatically goes to Twitter. If I post something on LinkedIn, it automatically goes to Facebook and Twitter. There are also third-party platforms that you can use in this regard. They're online and they're free, so you might as well check them out. But again, I just advocate as we do this that we be efficient and effective through consolidation of the effort, because the effort has to be made. So let's at least do it efficiently. Prospecting goals. I'm definitely a goal-setting person, or one that advocates goal setting in every aspect, and understanding that your sales business has a science to it. Science is numbers. So when I say there are numbers to your business, then you need to understand the numbers of your business. I also say, and have been known to say, you need to understand the science of your business. And that's simply understanding, how many people do I have to meet today or this week or this month to end up in X number of viable prospects, to end up in Y number of new meetings, to end up in M or N number of new closed business. So understand that it is a numbers game, but it's a numbers science. So business cards, meet and greet, hand out 50 to 100 business cards per week. This should be a goal. If that number is too high for you because you're doing real estate part-time, understandable. Then adjust the number, but be consistent with it and challenge yourself. It should not be 2 or 3, because, I mean, you can step out of your home to walk to the end of the curb to get the newspaper and hand out 3 business cards. So let's be realistic and set challenging goals, but that are realistic for you based on what your circumstance is. If you don't come in contact with that many people, maybe you work at home or work from your home, and you're just not seeing that many people. 2 things. One, that's understandable, and you would adjust that number down, but also you want to think about, well, you need to get out of the house a little bit more. Again, this is sales. It can't be done from your bedroom or your living room in your pajamas or the den. You have to get out in the world, and you've got to meet people, and setting a goal to hand out a particular number of business cards kind of means that you have no choice. You've got to. I mean, you can stand at your door, and if you've got delivery people that come, then you can hand them a business card, but how many are you actually going to be able to do in a week? I advocate 50 to 100 as a minimum, regardless of your part-time, full-time, or sometime commitment to your sales business. Attend and participate in professional events, seminars, conventions, open houses, at least once per month. And I don't mean SAR trainings, because all you're seeing there are other real estate agents. That's got a value, but I'm talking about actual consumer outreach, consumer event. One message can be a call or a mail out, or even an email on drip campaign, or a manually sent email asking your SOI for referrals. And getting prepared for this lesson this week, you should have mapped out your SOI, kind of fleshed it out and beefed it up. Should be at least 50 people in there as a minimum in your SOI, and you want to get a message out this week or set a goal every week, or at least once per month, that you're going to get a message out and you're going to ask for referrals. I think in sales teachings, they most commonly refer to it as ask for the business, and many of us don't do that. I'm guilty of that myself. You've got to ask for the business. You can talk about what you do, you can deliver your value proposition, but at the end of the day, if you don't say, hey, look, and ask for the business, you're not likely, or you're less likely to get it. So ask for the business, not from strangers, is not what I'm talking about in this particular bullet point. I'm talking about asking your SOI, those folks who are likely or more likely to actually give you a referral. Deliver your elevator pitch consistently, at least 10 times per week. As I said, you've got to master this thing. You're not going to master it keeping it in the holster. You've got to be able to pull it out and actually master the elevator pitch, and delivering with consistency and frequency. You've got to be the same about it. It can't be sporadic. You can't deliver it 4 times 3 different ways. This is something that you should do consistently, and like I said earlier, on demand, but set a goal to deliver that at least 10 times per week. And if you kind of step back at that and think, well, how am I going to do that? Then maybe you're not getting out in the world enough, but make an effort to do so. Set and hold 2 new demographic prospect meetings per week. So as you look at your demographic farm, that list of professionals, a list of CPAs that you mail out to or developing a relationship with, probate attorneys, divorce attorneys, whoever it might be, set and hold 2 new demographic prospect meetings per week. So this can be 2 new meetings with an individual on your current list who you've never met, and they're local. It can be someone that you've heard about as a person that would fit within your demographic farm list, and you want to add them, so you're going to take that meeting. So 2 new demographic prospect meetings per week. Most importantly, feed the whole. Add 30 to 50, and that's conservative, 30 to 50 new prospects to your database each month. Each month, 30 to 50 new prospects to your database each month, and that begins right now. So in preparation for lesson 3, remember, being active actually requires that actions be taken. So get going. Engage in and complete at least 3 of the action items from the prior slide. If you don't remember, I'll refresh your memory with some of them. Try to hold 2 demographic farm prospect meetings this week. That means between now and next Monday's lesson 3. Add 10 new prospects to your database. So we're not going a full month. I'm talking about getting you from this Monday to next Monday. Within that time, add 10 new prospects to your database. And folks, again, these numbers are extremely conservative. You really need to step it up and make these things happen. I could say 20 or 50, which would be more realistic for an aggressive salesperson. But understanding that as I'm doing this webinar, I'm addressing folks, again, who are part-time, full-time, and sometimes. So I've got to respect everybody's time commitment to their sales business. So in doing so, I'm keeping my numbers suitable for everybody, conservative. So adding 10 new prospects to your database between now and next Monday is absolutely doable for either of the commitment levels. Send out an SOI-wide request for referrals. So that's something that you all can do, because no matter what your time commitment is to this business, you have an SOI. So send out an SOI-wide request for referrals. It can be you call some of them. It can be you touch some of them via email. You touch some of them in physical contact because you work with them or you see them. Whatever it is, and whatever the means of touch or contact is, touch each one in your SOI at least once between now and next Monday, requesting referrals. So you're asking for the business. Deliver your elevator pitch 10 times. That's something you should all be doing anyway. Set this as an action or an activity goal for yourself for this next 1 week, and see how that works out for you, and see, take mental notes. Notice the difference between your skill at delivering that pitch tomorrow morning, for example, and Sunday afternoon next. So as you deliver this pitch, you're going to get better and better and better at it. You're going to evaluate it. You're going to make sure that you're talking about what your actual value proposition is, and you're getting that in there all within the 30-second constraint. And again, as I said, many times you'll have much more than 30 seconds, but you should be able to deliver this content within 30 seconds. Hand out 50 business cards. Business card, setting a goal for distribution of your business cards is not a monthly goal, because the number would be, or should be, not astronomical, but super high. So when we talk about setting a goal for handing out business cards, we're talking about a weekly goal. Daily is really too short to monitor. If you want to set a daily goal, then by all means do that. But I advocate a weekly goal for setting a weekly goal for handing out your business cards. And between this Monday, this webinar now, and the next session, I'm setting a conservative goal and asking you to perhaps partake in that or engage in that and look to hand out 50 business cards over the next 1 week. And that's not standing in front of Walmart handing out your business card, because anybody can do that. When I say hand out your business card, it's that 5-cent exchange that I talked about, a meaningful exchange where you're handing, you're giving, and then you're getting. You can't do that standing in front of Walmart and just handing out your business card to people who are walking in or out of the store. That meaningful exchange, that 5-cent exchange where you're giving them a business card and you're getting the valuable contact information in return, that is not a simple handout. That involves a conversation, perhaps the 30-second elevator pitch. And that's a good time to practice as you're handing out the card. So do it meaningfully and understanding that you're doing so to achieve or obtain a certain goal, certainly the return of contact information from the prospect. Ensure that your CRM software is ready to launch. Last week I asked you in preparation for this lesson to source out and choose a CRM software, whether it was Office VP, whether you're a real estate agent and you're getting your conversion account going. I need you to have a CRM software selected and ready to go. Be prepared to apply the 2-minute phone call to 20 of your prospects. We're going to cover the call in next week's session. So after that session, you should have your database, your contacts, and your CRM software set up appropriately so that you can then begin CRM prospect to your prospects, or conducting CRM upon your database. And part of that CRM protocol is going to be the 2-minute phone call. So I want you to be able to, as of next week, be prepared to reach out to 20 of your prospects and make that 2-minute phone call. So that's it. That's what we've got. I'm going to check now for the board and see if I've got any questions. Okay, no questions. Pretty good attendance. So that's it. If you were not able to see the screen tonight because perhaps you're on a phone or a tablet and you weren't able to do it, it's certainly viewable on a phone or a tablet, but you've got to have it set up prior to. But if you weren't able to, just know that this session has been recorded. Give me about 24 hours. It will be archived and uploaded for your viewing at the EGU, the new EGU YouTube channel. So again, I thank you for your attendance, and next week's session will be about managing your database and maintaining your business. So this was growing your database and therefore growing your business, and what we're going to be talking about next week is now managing that database and therefore managing your business. So again, thank you. This has been Damian Russell with lesson 2 of 6 Weeks to Success.